Welcome to One Data, the data product space that brings business and data teams together to create, manage, and scale trusted data products. One Data integrates into your existing tech stack and brings transparency, governance, and automation to the entire data product lifecycle from source to impact. In the next minutes, I will demonstrate you how do you ensure transparency in your data, specifically which data is being used and whether it is complete. How your data and the business team can collaborate in the use case builder. It helps reducing iteration cycles, making sure that already developed data products can be reused and that everyone speaks the same language. It also clarifies the impact of what data teams and business are designing here. The data contract, that makes an agreement between the people delivering a data product and the persons consuming the data product. It's like general terms and conditions. You can define the purpose and limitations of the data product, the pricing, how to access the data product, and ensure the data is fresh. You can ensure when consuming this data product that the schema is correct and data types are still correct. In the data product request, the consumer and owner specify in detail how this data product should look like. They provide context information and requirements for developers, like column semantics or quality requirements. It automatically translates data product requirements, including quality requirements, into code to save your developers time instead of boilerplate coding. One Data is able to translate all the context information from the use case builder, the data product request, and information about upstream data tables into executable code. We can push the code, for example, to Git, and start directly from there to develop in your existing tech stack. Review your data product in One Data again as a quality control checkpoint that ensures the data product is correct before publish it to the data product marketplace. Go to the data product marketplace to reuse existing data products in business applications or to build the next use case. But let's start at the beginning. Imagine a manufacturing company. Let's call them SpaceLinkDynamics. What you see here is an example of their current data landscape reflected in One Data. We see all their important business domains, like finance or production. We support to extract all your metadata and to bring it into One Data to visualize them in a map for a fast perception. One Data is able to reduce complexity and only show, for example, the important assets that drives your business, instead listing all available data. What you also can see is how is the flow of the data through your business domains or connected systems. So we can show how your data flow through domains. That is a good starting point when you start your data product journey. We start in the use case builder. We look at an important KPI to reduce the tied-up capital in inventory at SpaceLink. As use case owner, we give the use case a name and describes it in detail, the objective of the business case, and why it matters. We describe the data needed and the approach to develop this data product if they're already aware of tables or data products that can be reused. We specify how to calculate the business value. The business value is important to prioritize tasks. They want to spend their valuable data engineers on the most impactful tasks. SpaceLinkDynamics will have savings due to cash flow and holding cost reductions. Everything is documented here in detail. With this use case, it's to ensure a saving by 3.6 million euros. That's great. For example, a supply chain manager starts to outline the data flow, but he will not do it alone. He can do it together with the data team. Your data engineers will usually start from the right-hand side. So what is required to fulfill this use case? Is it an AI model? Is it just a table? Or is it a dashboard? In our case, it's a dashboard. This dashboard is described here in detail. This clarifies what data is needed to run this dashboard. We need 3 data tables to run this dashboard. Global inventory to know what's in inventory right now. Another data table providing information about what's going into the warehouse. And one what is planned to leave the warehouse because of production. We can check what data tables exist, what's already on the data lake, what was developed in the past. The asset library provides all the metadata from important source systems that was extracted and ingested into one data. One data connects to your data lake, your transactional systems, and you have all metadata available in the asset library, and you can leverage it to find existing assets. Probably you don't know the exact name. No problem. One data supports you. We put a placeholder into the canvas, connect the placeholder with the dashboard, and describe the placeholder as much as possible. Then we can check if there's something similar. Let's call it inflows to warehouse. Not procurement warehouse inflows. It's slightly different. We can add a description. The more information, the better. We define the columns needed, the warehouse ID, the component ID, the amount, and when this is happening, the date. Okay, this is how the data product should look. We can leverage AI to recommend asset. An algorithm compares my placeholder with existing assets, and there's a data product, the procurement warehouse inflows, with high similarity. Let me replace this placeholder with this already existing data product. Now we can determine if this is really the data product we're looking for. For that reason, remember I showed you the data product contract? The data product contract provides you with all information needed to answer, do I take this data product or develop something new? You will get meta information, descriptions, column semantics with descriptions on column level. He sees which other use cases already used this data product. You can see the data itself and if you already have access to it. You see the contract itself. You see the purpose, limitations of the data product, pricing information, who is the contact person, who developed it, and if the data is still fresh. As I said, if it was agreed the data should be updated daily, you want to ensure this is really the case. You can see if the schema is still correct, was a column dropped, was the data type changed. You want to ensure what's written here is still valid. You also see what quality checks are there. When were they last executed, and are they passing? Is there an issue or not? You want to understand the context, the periphery of this data product. Where's it coming from? The lineage. Where's it used? This data product is currently used for another data product. This is very important information to clarify whether we can take this data product. I would say we are happy with it. This is exactly what we are looking for. Let's consider this data product for our use case. But we don't yet know what's leaving the warehouse. Let's consider we weren't able to find anything here. Now we had to request something new, request the development of a new data product. Let's put a placeholder here. Let's call it production demands. This is the data product that needs to be developed. But this isn't all we know. We also need to specify what upstream assets are needed to develop this data product. What we can do is use the asset library once more. Let's search the asset library for production demands. We know there are 3 warehouses in Europe, in Thessaloniki, Frankfurt, and Turkey. These are 3 production demands, local production demands, that need to be unified to develop this data product. Let's connect it once more. Now we know where the data is coming from. But we don't have a data product request yet. It's still a placeholder, and we will create a data product request from it. He is requesting this data product with this information. Let's open the request. Now we have this standard format where we as supply chain analyst, we can specify everything for the developer of the data product. It's already there with attached assets specified in the use case builder. This is quite a lot of work to specify everything, and especially for business people, it's quite a hurdle to fill everything out. You want to make life as easy as possible for people. With implemented AI capabilities that takes the name and context information, you can pre-fill the fields in this data product request automated to save you time. Now we have the context information with requirements for our developer, with column semantics and quality requirements. We can check if this is really the information we are looking for, but usually this is already a very good starting point. We just specify the owner and who is going to develop the data product. Update frequency is also important. With all that context information, we can trigger the development of the data product. One Data is able to translate this logic, how and where your developers should transform and store it in another system by providing automation packages. Organizations can define and customize the underlying templates according to their existing tech stack. You can specify your template, where you're going to develop the data product, and what source code management system you're using, for example, GitLab. With these defined requirements, semantics, quality requirements, attached assets, One Data supports translating all context information from the use case builder and data product request into these templates and automatically pushes to GitLab or GitHub. This handles tedious boilerplate tasks like loading default libraries, copying and pasting addresses and variables, applying standard formats for functions, and ensures uniform coding standards are enforced within the organization. In our case, we want to develop in dbt, and then we set up the building space. What happens now? The code and branch will be created. Everything will be in GitLab in a few seconds. There's a new branch. Let's open the branch with our production demand specification. Here we have all the code with all context information specified in the request. It's good that it's here in Git specific for dbt because then the data engineer doesn't have to navigate back and forth. All information is available, plus links are provided. You see the schema and the quality checks of the data product. The data engineer has a very good starting point, including the source systems needed to develop and transform the data product and where it's stored, for example, in Snowflake. The data engineer can jump to dbt, Databricks, or your existing transformation tool, establish a connection to the GitLab project, fetch the code, and start develop the data product, and you are basically done. You can find your new data product in your storage system for inspection. Here, for example, Snowflake. When your data engineers are finished with the transformation, as a business analyst, you will return to your data product request in One Data to review the newly developed data product. Is all what the developer transferred in the state to fill our report at the end? We get the same information as from our storage system. Who is the owner? We can see the data and the data contract. You have read the guidelines on your data product, how you access it, what is the price. So the review state is here at the end to prove what we've done, check it, and hand it over to the data product marketplace. Here, your organization is able to reuse the data product and share with other domains to get the right KPIs for how to reduce the tied-up capital in our example case. So what we've seen in the last minutes was how you get transparency in your data landscape, how you can design your data products, how you put all the information into code and transfer it to development and storage systems. From there, it goes to your new system, and then you bring it back to One Data to review your new data product. Thank you for your attention. If you're interested in seeing how the One Data Space can support you in your data product journey, feel free to reach out for a personalized consultation today.